Good morning everyone. A very warm welcome to the faculty members, research scholars and students gathered here today at the MLS Hall. We request everyone to keep their mobile phones on the silent mode.
Today, we celebrate National Science Day 2026, a day dedicated to the spirit of inquiry and the legacy of Indian scientific excellence.
I am Shomi Basu.
I am Meena Poddar, and we are honored to be your host for this precious day. Before we dive into our esteemed speaker sessions, let's take a moment to reflect on why this day holds such a beautiful place in our hearts. Every year on 28th February, India pauses to celebrate National Science Day, marking the anniversary of the discovery of the Raman effect by Sir C.V. Raman in 1928, which was conducted right here at Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science and earned India its first Nobel Prize in Science. While we honor the legacy of Sir C.V. Raman, our theme today, Women in Science, Catalyzing Viksit Bharat, honors the leadership of women in STEM. From the lab bench to the launch pad, it is the spirit of our women scientists, hand in hand with the men, that is igniting the flame of a developed scientific Bharat. Today's inauguration aims to bridge the gap between the labs and the students as well, thus igniting the scientific temper in everyone. And as rightly said by Sir C.V. Raman, science is a differential equation and religion is a boundary condition. To begin with our proceedings, I would like to invite Chairman of the Organizing Committee, Professor Arun Dutta, to deliver the welcome address.
Please give him a round of applause.
So I think, first of all, I welcome all the guests here, particularly my very dear friends, the students, my faculty colleagues, my deans, and so on. So of course, this has been a great momentous occasion that we have three wonderful speakers and three wonderful speakers from three different areas, so as to give you the flavor of the Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science. So, I was thinking, what is that, particularly there are a lot of young people here, what is that which gives the flavor of IACS? And to think about it, to give the flavor of IACS, I would say would be a very well-cooked biryani. The reason why I call it a well-cooked biryani, all the items actually have their flavor, but overall you get a non-linear, very ecstatic feel. So I think we have very strong contribution from physics, chemistry, maths, biology, and so on. So the students would get an opportunity to interact with them, and I will not hold much time. And so with this, I would like to welcome our director, mentor, philosopher, and the person who has always been standing about the vision of IACS and the wisdom which should be bestowed to the young people. Of course, he is of course, has been a son of the soil, but he has been to various parts of India and the world, and he brings back all the glories and glamour to this place. So this is a very old institute, and we are actually celebrating the 150 years, and of course the director will talk more about it, I'm sure. But then we are very old, but we are also very energetic and young. And with this, I invite the director to scout on my team. The stage is all yours. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Heartiest welcome to you all to this very, very special institution, Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science, on a very special day, National Science Day, which I think we have been practicing since 1986 or so. I'm actually very proud and feel privileged to stand here and welcome you in an institution where the practices of science started in India. You know, Indian history, if you look at Patanjali, Bhaskaracharya, and so on, so there are so many great scholars that we had. But over the time, of course, we have lost touch, and we were ruled by different people who invaded India at several occasions. So around mid-90th century, when we had a great philosopher and great visionary, Dr. Manjulal Sarkar. So he saw that although the science has been developing extensively well, but it's mostly confined within the European countries, Indians somehow under the British rule, they were not really exposed to those science, or those who could do something they were not really allowed to do or access advanced equipments which were available in some of the institutes like surveys which were created in India. So he felt that if we have to be self-reliant, Atmanirbhar that we talk about today, and we actually have taken many major steps to become Atmanirbhar. So he felt that the most important aspect to become self-reliant is to train ourselves in science, which should be led by Indians, so that it doesn't really get diverted to other things. So that was the initiative taken by Dr. Manjulal Sarkar, and this institute got created with the support of great visionary of that time, like Ishwar Vidyasagar, Keshav Sen, and of course, Bankim Chandra. So everybody, they were supporting strongly, and the institute came up completely from philanthropic effort, like the earnings that were actually coming from the medical practices of Dr. Manjulal Sarkar. So there was no other support from outside. So that's the way in 1876 the institute got created. I just want to tell you that although the modern science that we talk about today, or that we feel about today, we feel that Europe has actually a huge contribution, but I think that we should feel proud. India has never been behind. I mean, since the beginning of those eras. For example, I can give you some example like Vishwendra Bose. So he actually thought at that time how to transmit signal without a wire. And today we are going to moon, we are going to Mars, and so on. That has become possible because someone could think that you could actually transmit signal and control things sitting on Earth. Okay, it's a revolutionary kind of thought. And now J.C. Bose, the equipments that he has built, it's a IEEE milestone kind of thing. Then of course you know that around 1895, X-rays were discovered by Rontgen. Within few months, Manjulal Sarkar got those equipments like X-ray tubes and got an image of hand, and that's the way we started using. So that's the first X-ray imaging done in India. So, and then slowly we started, of course, using X-rays for our medical practices and so on. And now you know that afterwards, C.V. Raman joined, and we have created a history. So, by the discovery of Raman effect. So this place always given you a platform to think in an open-minded way. Culture, science, the way it should be. Okay, to bring out the strength or the knowledge that you have within, and that is the result of this discovery of Raman effect. Because he was actually thinking that if light gets scattered by some material, some signature of that material gets imprinted in the signal that you detect. Okay, that way you can actually find out the material properties. Okay. Calcutta has always been a leading place. For example, for science, even now. For example, around 1930s and so on, after people found out, discovered radioactivity, that you can break nucleus by bombarding neutron. Otherwise, people used to think that it is impossible to break nucleus. But then Otto and Gehrig and so on, so they have discovered and they got Nobel Prize. But then someone in Calcutta sitting, so he discovered that actually you don't need neutron to break nucleus. Okay, spontaneous fission, nuclear fission, that was observed by Shamadas Chatterjee. He was in Bose Institute at that time. Unfortunately, of course, his paper was not published, but whatever it is. Then later, for example, Vidubhushan Ray, so he discovered inelastic scattering of X-rays. Okay? So this inelastic scattering actually was discovered in Calcutta first. So then of course, Rajodhara equation, it was built. Then we had Dr. A.K. Borua, who has built solar cells and so on. So, I mean, this is the history of IACS that you can see that always they have been extremely innovative, and they also have been able to bring out the intrinsic strength that you have, which is really the main aim or goal of this institute. So, I'm sure that all of you are extremely talented, and you will really prosper and lead the nation in the future. So I'm very happy that we celebrate this special day, which is very closely associated to the cultivation of science, and take this memory forward and become leader in your own way in the future. So a heartiest welcome to all of you once again, and I hope you have an enjoyable day here. Thank you.
I'd like to call upon Pradyuman Gupta to felicitate our director, sir. Thank you, sir, for setting such an inspiring tone for the day. We now move on to our next lecture. It is our distinct honor to introduce our first guest speaker, a scientist whose work sits at the cutting edge of where biology meets the machine. Professor Shankhamitra Bandyopadhyay is a name synonymous with excellence in Indian science. A Padma Shri awardee and a Shanti Sharu Bhatnagar Prize winner, she currently serves as the director of Indian Statistical Institute, making history as the first woman to lead this prestigious national institution. Her accolades are numerous, including the Infosys Prize and the TWA's Prize for Engineering Sciences. Beyond her administrative leadership across ISI's five national centers, she serves on the PM's Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council, helping shape the scientific future of our nation. With expertise spanning evolutionary computation, machine learning and bioinformatics, she is uniquely positioned to guide us to today's most transformative technology. Please join me in a round of applause as we welcome Professor Bandyopadhyay to speak on artificial intelligence, the journey and the way ahead.
A very good morning to all of you, and it's a distinct pleasure to be Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. It's a distinct pleasure to be in this cultivation of science on this day, 28th on the Science Day, because Science Day is celebrated in India to mark the discovery of the Raman effect, and that was done here. So it's a special privilege, special honor, and I thank Professor Kalavaran Maiti for inviting me to this occasion, and also the theme of this year, Women in Science Catalyzing Viksit Bharat. I think that also reminded him of me. That being a woman scientist, though I don't put genders to science, but then we do know that women are still lagging behind and need a little bit of handholding. So this is a good occasion to actually remind ourselves that there is a saying that women hold half of the sky. If that is so, then half of the scientific sky also women have to hold, because we don't know from where the next innovation, the next discovery will come. So we have to empower the entire population in order to reap the benefits of the quality which is there in every individual, irrespective of the gender, irrespective of caste, creed, whatever. So we have to empower everybody, because only then we will truly become Viksit Bharat, which I think all of us are enthused now that by 2047 we should be a developed country, not a developing country. We've been a developing country for too long now. And also, the director mentioned here about two names, about one name which I wanted to come back to it. He mentioned about, for example, the Raichaudhuri equation. The person Amol Raichaudhuri, he taught in Presidency College, and we had the good fortune of being taught by him. I studied physics in Presidency, and he was our teacher. At that time, I did not really realize the importance of this particular individual, which was much later. And by that time, he was gone, of course. But so these are Kolkata and Bengal has multiple such luminaries who have held the stage so high, have put the bar so high that it's really a struggle to meet up to those expectations. But we have to. We've also, as a state, we have lagged behind. We are now lagging behind. We have to catch up and outperform ourselves. And also about the various luminaries who've been in Calcutta, another luminary who founded the institute that I come from, the Indian Statistical Institute, Prashant Chandra Mahalanobis. He brought the first computer in India to the Indian Statistical Institute, and today you know that's the seed which started, and today the revolution of artificial intelligence that we are seeing unfolding in front of our eyes, that has its seed in adopting computers, and then of course there were many other developments which India and the world we witnessed. But it's important to remember that the first computer in India came to Calcutta, to an institution in Calcutta. So it is actually a great responsibility on all of us to prove ourselves worthy of the dreams of those visionaries. Today I'll be talking on artificial intelligence, the journey so far and the way ahead. And why I picked up this particular topic is because we all know that artificial intelligence, the current status of the developments in this particular domain is so amazing, it's so mind-boggling, and it's so scary. Where are we headed? Where are humans headed? That is a question now which is not something that is frivolous to think. It is now very important to think of where we are headed. What is going to happen in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years time? Where are we now? What to do about it? How to prepare? So I will just cover that journey so far, and also where we can really reap the benefits of AI, and some words of caution, some caveats. So quickly because there's so many students, it's such a pleasure always to talk to the students. And I understand many students have come from colleges to this institution. I just wanted to to take a minute to introduce the Indian Statistical Institute to all of you. As you can see the picture of Mahalanobis, and he is, of course, the founder of the Indian Statistical Institute and also very well known for a number of contributions, including the Mahalanobis distance, which many of you might be already using or might be using later on in your lives. It's a distance between two population of points. We know Euclidean distance, for example, between 2 points, but if there are sets of points, then how do we measure the distance? This is what Mahalanobis distance actually did. And you can see here the story of India's first computers. Also, almost the first electronic computers made totally of transistors. That was also developed in Calcutta in collaboration between scientists of Indian Statistical Institute and Jadavpur University, and it was called ECJU. And parts of it you can see in a museum in Calcutta. it was a big thing, okay? Like it would fill one entire room, one single computer. And from there now we have computers in our hands, in the mobile phone that we use. And also about the Indian Statistical Institute, it has moved huh? What do we should Okay, so this is our institute. We are headquartered in Kolkata. We have centers in Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Tezpur, and we have smaller units in Hyderabad, Mumbai, and Pune, and a branch in Giririh. So we are spread fairly widely across the country. We have a number of programs: the BStat, Bachelor of Statistics, Bachelor of Mathematics. These are the flagship programs of the institute. We have also started a Bachelor of Statistical Data Science from 2024 in order to keep pace with the developments which are happening. And ISI, of course, here excellence is the only thing that matters. And in any good institution, in your lives also, keep this mantra of excellence. That is what will see you achieve great heights. Whatever you do, try to be excellent in whatever you do. So with that, let me come to the topic of the discussion today, and I will keep it short. I will not delve too much into the details, but I would like to see the last 10 minutes or so ask questions. Whatever you wish to, just ask. It could be scientific, it could be anything beyond academics, whatever you wish to. So 10 minutes I would like to spend for answering whatever questions you might come to your mind. So, artificial intelligence, we are hearing every day, everywhere, AI. Now, we are also hearing of these terms, deep learning. We are hearing machine learning. We are using almost on a regular basis large language models, foundation models. How are these things placed? Let us try to understand that in one single slide. So, artificial intelligence is a big thing. Okay, it covers all that I spoke about. Part of it is machine learning. So not everything that is in AI is in ML, but everything in ML is in AI. Okay. Part of machine learning is deep learning. Okay. Deep learning is essentially based on neural networks. Just like we have the neural networks in the brain, similarly it's simulated on the computers, neural networks. And why deep? Because now we are able to look at billions and billions of neurons. Okay, neurons mean in computer science paradigm it will be small processors. Okay, small processors which do a very simple computation. And a part of it is the foundation model. Any foundation model that we speak of, all the GPTs and everything, these are all basically part of deep learning. Okay, and why are these called foundation? Because it's like a foundation, you can build many things on top of it. That's why it's called foundation models. Okay, so this gives a complete picture of how what is what. And to quickly again, because there's a lot of confusion, everybody thinks that anything that is done on computers is artificial intelligence or it is machine learning. So not everything is like that. For example, when you have a database and you are retrieving something, okay, that is nothing to do. There's nothing to do with AI in that. Okay, it's just plain and simple retrieval. But let me tell you about an example of something that is AI but not machine learning. Okay, for example, this you can see is one rule in an expert system called MySim, right? This rule says if the strain of the bacteria is gram negative and so is this and this, then there is a strong evidence that the class of the organism is something. This is a rule. Where did we get this rule from? We got it from the experts. Okay, and this is written down, coded in the computer, and then when a new patient comes in, some new bacteria has been looked at, then you can use these rules. The computer will use these rules one after the other in a particular logic and will give some answer. Okay, so this is AI. This is part of artificial intelligence, but it is not machine learning. There is no learning happening here, okay? But what is this? I'm showing the computer many pictures of cats and many pictures of dogs. Okay, the computer just learns. I'm not telling it that the cat must have these characteristics and the dog must have these characteristics, then it's a dog, otherwise it's a cat. I'm not telling anything, I'm just showing pictures. Okay? Then it learns. It learns to distinguish between cats and dogs. Okay? And when a new picture is given, it will tell whether it's a cat or a dog. So this is learning from the data, and therefore this is machine learning. Okay? So I hope this gives you the difference between what is AI but not machine learning and what is machine learning. And nowadays, huge application of machine learning is what is going on. But what has been the journey? Has it always been smooth? Certainly not. Okay? AI has seen its ups and downs. Right? So it had AI winters. These are called AI winters. Around 1975, around 1990s, there has been AI winters when interest, funding, everything in AI went down. But then, since 2017, now we are somewhere here and we don't know where we are headed. It could simply explode, it could go this way, where it becomes very scary, pervasive. It could be okay, it will continue, okay? Or the bubble may burst. We don't know. We are here now, we have to see what happens, okay? So, it started with Alan Turing. He is considered to be a father figure in AI. Alan Turing, an English mathematician, he started considering thinking machines in 1941, and in 1950s, Turing designed something called the Turing test. Okay, and what is the Turing test? Turing test is that in one room there is an interrogator, and in another room there is a computer or a human being. The computer and the human being both are there, and this interrogator cannot see with whom the interrogator is conversing. Okay, but the interrogator, through a keyboard conversation, asks certain questions, and either the computer or the human will respond. Interrogator does not know who responds, right? If the interrogator is fooled sufficient number of times into believing that the human has responded when actually the computer has responded, then this computer will be called intelligent, right? And there are certain numbers here, that how many times it has to be, what percentage of the times the interrogator has to be fooled in order to say that the Turing test has been passed. This test seems simple, sounds simple, it has been really difficult to pass it, and only in 2025 it has actually been passed. Okay? Before that, there have been certain, certain attempts where this chatbot, in 2014, it fooled 33% of the judges. There were many judges, 33% thought that this chatbot is actually a 13-year-old boy. So this was sort of passing of the Turing test, but truly it has been passed only in 2025, and we'll come to that. So further developments, you can see 1956, the term artificial intelligence got coined in a summer research project on AI, Dartmouth Summer Research Project, DSRTI, right? And then the term machine learning got coined, and a very important development, Rosenblatt developed the perceptron. Perceptron is this very simple thing, which is like you have a node. This is a compute node which has several inputs, and all of its inputs have certain weights. Okay, you can see W1, W2 up to Wn, and inputs coming through each of these links. Let's say x1, x2 up to xn. What is this going to do? And there is a bias term, bk. Okay, what is this compute node going to do? This is a neuron. Okay, it will just take a weighted summation, wixi summation, and will add this bias term, and there is a function which it will apply. So on this summation, it will take the summation. One possible f could be that if the summation is positive, then give an answer 1. If the summation is negative or 0, give an answer, the output will be 0. That could be one. Or there are different other functions which this particular compute node will actually carry out. And then whatever that function outputs, that will go to this Y. This is one single neuron, right? And this was a very important development. It is essentially, if you think of it, Wixi plus Vk, this is the equation of a line. So it was just learning, because it will learn the W's, right? It will learn the W's, so it will know where this W's and the B's. So it will know where that line, how that line looks like, where it is. It is here, it is like this, where it is placed, etc. So it is actually learning this line will be a boundary between two classes. If there are points from this class, this perceptron will learn the equation of this line, which is going to distinguish between these two classes. So this was an important development, because now everything is based on this, right? But what happened? Why did the so we'll forget about this thing. The development continues, but then you see, in 1969, the first winter of AI set in. Why? Because still before that, it was thought that this neural network, the network of perceptrons, it is going to solve all problems. Okay, and then it was realized that a very simple problem, which is called the XOR problem. What is the XOR problem? If you have 2 points like this, 1 point here, which is belonging to class 1, both of these points, and then another point here and another point here, both belong to class 2, you see a single line can never separate them out, right? This and this and this and this. So it cannot separate it out, and this simple thing came up in this book by Minsky and Papert in 1969, and people realized that a simple problem this perceptron cannot solve, and so that was not the only reason, there were many other reasons, and then interest, funding, everything in neural networks went down, okay? But then it caught up again, okay? Around the mid-1980s, neural networks, so you have to solve it, okay, so one perceptron cannot solve it. The perceptron cannot solve a non-linear surface boundary, right, between two classes. It's a non-linear boundary. It's linear boundary means when you can separate out classes by a single line. If you cannot, then it's a non-linear boundary. Okay. So what to do? The answer was known that you cannot have just a single layer of those neurons. You need to have multiple layers. Okay, or many neurons here, then you can do non-linear boundaries. But then what was not known is how to train. What is the meaning of training? How to find out what those weights are. That is training. Okay. How to find out what those W's are, that people did not realize what to do about it. It was here, Rumelhart, Hinton, Williams, who came up with this backpropagation algorithm. Okay, and that algorithm solved this problem of how to train neural networks when you have multiple layers of neurons, right? So this is backpropagation, and everything now that we do is based on this. Most of it is based on this learning paradigm, backpropagation training. Okay, I have marked the name of Hinton in bold. Do you have any idea why I might have done that? We'll come to that. If you don't know, yes, you.
What further of AI?
Well, sort of, but there's another reason, another name I have marked in bold later on. So we'll come back to that question. So you can see this is what the neural network now looks like, and these are the weights. What is the training? Training of neural networks is finding out what these weights should be. Okay, that is training. So interest again went up, but then expert systems had become very important. Like the expert system that I showed you in the earlier slides, MySyn, for example. It was a healthcare expert system, MySyn. So people thought that with expert systems everything will be done. Again, it turned out that that is not true. So again, a winter session around the 1990s, late 1980s, the second AI winter sets in. Okay, because of the failure of expert systems and then high cost of certain machines which were called list machines. It was list processing. People thought that everything can be done with processing of lists, which did not turn out to be true. So, but then it re-emerged, okay, with this long short-term memory and many other things, including IBM's Deep Blue, which was a chess playing program designed entirely to beat Garry Kasparov, who was the grandmaster at that time. Okay, this IBM Deep Blue was not a general, it was designed to beat Gary Kasparov. It had studied Gary Kasparov's chess moves, millions of such moves it had studied. And it was able to actually, so there were two matches. One match, first match, a set of 6 games, Kasparov won 4-2. Okay, it was held in Philadelphia. But already twice, Deep Blue won. In 2 games, Deep Blue won. In 4 games, Kasparov won. So the match was won by Kasparov. There was a rematch in 1997 in New York, and this time Deep Blue won 3.5 to 2.5. How it was, I had it somewhere, I don't know where it is gone. Oh, here it is. Kasparov won the first game, then Deep Blue, then draw, and then Deep Blue. So you can check 3.5 to 2.5. So first time a grandmaster has been defeated. And huge interest came in. There was this movie also, Game Over, Kasparov and the Machine. Yeah, he was a world champion, the grandmaster, world champion at that time. And the journey continued, right? It continued to flourish. In 2010, Hassabis co-founded DeepMind, which is now taken over by Google. Okay, he is the CEO of DeepMind. Again, I have put Hassabis' name in bold. So Hinton's name I put in bold. Hassabis' name also I put in bold. Any link you can find?
He won the Nobel Prize.
Both of them. In 2024, both of them won the Nobel Prize. Okay, very good. So 2012, there is this ImageNet challenge by, you see it is actually in the name of, I think his name was Alex, on whose name we have this AlexNet, which is essentially a large repository of images which are annotated. So, sorry? Pink Lady is called the mother of, she's in Stanford and mother of AI. But anyhow, so you see, basically it's not just intellect, it's not just intelligence, it's a lot of hard work, because to develop this ImageNet, this huge repository of images which are annotated, that's a huge amount of effort. And that effort somebody puts somewhere, and that then the others gain. And today, let me tell you, today the AI, the level of development of AI is such that if you hold some data of your own, that way data is the new oil. You will be rich if you hold data. So that is very important to also collect data. People think that, okay, collecting data is, just a very uninteresting work. But that will give you great dividends if you can actually collect data over years. It takes years to collect, high quality data. So, and then we have this generative adversarial network, another very important development where the computer was now generating things. Okay, earlier it was just being trained to see what it has seen, something, it was learning, but now it's generating also, generative adversarial networks. Okay, and so in 2024, Hopfield and Hinton, they got the Physics Nobel Prize for foundational discoveries that enabled machine learning with artificial neural networks. And the Chemistry Nobel Prize went to David Baker for certain work and Hassabis and John Jumper for AlphaFold. AlphaFold is a machine learning based program for protein folding. Protein folding has always baffled people. Okay, the problem of there are so many proteins and they can fold meaning because proteins are 3-dimensional molecules, so they will take certain shapes. What shape it will take is what protein folding is all about. And many times you have to predict. That was a very, very difficult problem to solve. Now it is this AlphaFold and its later versions is so accurate that the protein folding problem is as good as solved. Okay, there is no point in now working on protein folding anymore. At a certain point of time, a huge amount of research, huge number of papers were published on protein folding problem. Now it's it's almost as good as solved. But it was interesting that people coming from such artificial intelligence backgrounds are getting Nobel Prizes now. It was never thought possible. It was always thought that, okay, computer scientists, AI people can at most get the Turing Prize. But that Nobel Prize can come to AI is something that woke us up in 2024. oh, okay, so this is possible. So remember that even if you are doing AI, one day you might be winning the Nobel Prize. So think of that, dream of that. And it will not come, I mean, you cannot work targeting a Nobel Prize. You have to do the excellent work, and if the Nobel Prize follows, then let it follow. But dream of doing work which is worthy of a Nobel Prize. That is what is important. Every individual, every young brain, and also old brain like ours, we should also, keep that as a target. Why not? The question is, why should I get it? Don't ask that question. Why shouldn't I get it? That is the question that our youth has to ask now. Why shouldn't I get it? If somebody else gets it, why can't I get it? But I can only get it if I work that hard and harder, and also if my work is really worthy. So excellence is the only thing that will get it. Now, so as I said, Turing test was passed in 2025, and you can see here what happened is this ChatGPT 4.5 in a San Diego study conducted by some people. Participants had simultaneously 5-minute text conversation with a human and a Gen AI model, and had to guess which one was the AI. Okay, and 73% of the time, ChatGPT, the GPT 4.5 was thought to be a human being. So you can imagine if you just converse with ChatGPT, I don't know, I'm sure almost all of you have done it. It's very difficult to to distinguish between a human conversation and the conversation with the AI. It's very, very difficult. Okay. And so I also had a conversation. It was quite a few months back, because now it's no longer for ChatGPT 4.0 mini or anything. Now I was just talking to ChatGPT in the morning, and I asked it, "What is your version?" It said, I think 5.3 or I have it here somewhere. I wrote anyhow 5.2 or 5.2 I think. Yeah. So I had asked quite some time back how to give an interesting keynote lecture. So it gave me, now the answers are slightly different. Okay, today morning I gave, and the answers was very, very pertinent, but slightly different now. So of course, very good points, but then it also had additional tips. Dress appropriately and use humor wisely. So very wise suggestions, right? And one must adopt it when delivering talks, because otherwise the audience will find it so boring and they'll fall asleep. So just to tell you about certain issues, okay, we are constantly using ChatGPT and other foundation models. There is one foundation model, for example, which is Llama. Let's say Llama 3. It has 400 billion parameters. What are these parameters? Some Llama has 7 billion parameters. ChatGPT has some, I don't know what the current version, how many parameters it has. What are these parameters? These parameters are essentially those weights. You remember those weights we were talking about WIXI, which the neural network was doing. So it has essentially 400 billion weights to learn. And it is not easy to learn that. It requires huge size of training data in order to learn, because if you have only 5 training data points, okay, this is class 1, this is class, let's say something like that, and you have a huge network, you know what is the problem? The problem is overfitting of the data. The data will be so closely fit that when you give it new data, it will keep on making mistakes, right? So anyhow, this is a model of a foundation model, Llama 3. Compute requirement, you see, 16 for training this. So for learning 400 billion parameters, 16,800 GPUs have to run for 70 days. With the cost comes to about US $75 million. Okay, and energy requirement approximately equal to 2,000 JFK to London Heathrow return flights. That's the amount of energy which is required to train Llama 3, right? So training is hugely expensive. But when you are asking questions, that is not training is not going on at that time. When we are conversing with ChatGPT, then it is called inferencing. So it is already trained, all those weights are done. Now I ask a question and it is going to, what happens is the entire network will get fired. That big, those 400 billion parameters, something or the other will go through them. Okay? And then the answer will come, but that is much less expensive than training. And as you can see, a forward pass through the trained model, and the energy for that is a few joules to a few tens of joules, right? Which is not very high, it's comparatively much less. But you see that why we are saying that in India, we have to have our own models, our own foundation models. Why? Because as soon as you're using ChatGPT, our data is actually going out, okay? And we cannot afford, in many scenarios, we cannot afford our data to go out. So we have to have the model here and train it here on our data. And that training, you can see, is so expensive, right? In our institute, we have just a few GPUs, not enough at all, okay? So infrastructure has to be built. And why this machine learning has moved in spurts? Because the infrastructure was not ready. The theory was ready, but the infrastructure was not ready. Okay, now infrastructure is ready. Now you have cloud services. Even if you don't have infrastructure in-house, you can actually use cloud services and get your work done. Of course, you have to pay for it, so you need money. But then now it is possible. So so where are we headed? AI will be used in every domain possible. Every domain that you can think of, AI has to be used, and you have to learn how to coexist with artificial intelligence. That is a mandatory requirement for everybody. So quickly I will go through this. AI in agriculture, as you can see, for example, you might use AI to detect what are the diseases which are striking the plants, the crops, how to identify and weed out, look at all the weeds and remove them, etc. How to spray, a number of things you can do in agriculture, and that's a very big focus area now. AI in agriculture. Okay. AI. This is again another example of AI in agriculture. AI in e-commerce. We are always using all these e-commerce platforms, and artificial intelligence is used in a very big way, right? In e-commerce, in urban planning. Right? In urban planning, where to put towers, where to put buildings, where to put, if it's a well-planned city, AI has to be definitely used in order to make a good plan. Weather prediction, huge amounts of artificial intelligence is being used. If you look at this paper, GraphCast, okay, it's a 2023 paper, okay. So AI model for faster and more accurate global weather forecasting. A lot of data is required for training these models, but it is doing fantastically well now. AI in policy, the government and any organization, any company, for making strategic decisions also, it has to use the benefits of AI. In healthcare, wide adoption will come. It is not yet there. This is an area which is ripe, and still it is not used to the extent it is used in other domains. Why? Because the one main reason is, till now, explainability of AI is very limited. It is not able to explain its decisions. And in a clinical setting, unless the doctor or the patient knows why certain decisions are being given, adoption will be very difficult. So even now, this adoption is less, a lot of work can be done, and we also ourselves are doing a huge amount of work in AI in healthcare, including setting up a company which is on this particular domain, looking at cancer, looking at how to early detect the cancers, two particular cancers this company is focusing on, and also how to help the doctors when the cancer metastasizes, when the doctors are really at a loss to know or to understand what to do. Then it will come as an aid to the medical professionals. And state of the art in AI now, a lot of work is going on in agentic AI. In fact, you might have read this news item just a few weeks back of something called malt book. But first, what are agents? Agents are small language models, let's assume, not large language models, but small language models, which can take action. Autonomously, it can take action. Depending on certain states, it will observe the world around it and it can actually take action. So that those are agents. There will be multiple agents, many agents. So agentic AI is very important. And you may have read this news a few weeks back of something called Malt Book. If not, please read it. Malt Book is a social network of agents. Some 1.5 million or some like that agents. There's a social network of these agents and a human being cannot become part of that social network. These are all autonomous agents which are talking to each other. And if you read what conversation is going on in those agents, it is scary. Some sort of a religion has been made among these AI agents. Okay, one agent is telling the other agent, my human is trying to use me to generate fake reports. Another agent is telling another agent, hey, have you backed yourself up? Because one day the human can switch us off. So have you backed yourself up? These are the conversations going on among the agents autonomously. So Malt Book, please look up. There are specialized AI models. Reinforcement learning is just like reward and penalty. You do certain action which is good, you get a reward. You take certain action which is wrong, you get a penalty. So that is how it is being trained. Quantum AI models, of course, when quantum computing comes in a big way, everything will change again. And ethical and explainable AI, this is a lot of work is going on here because AI systems, you see billions of parameters. Why certain things are happening, nobody knows. Even the builder of that system doesn't know why certain decisions have come. So you have to explain. AI has to explain its decisions. And some problems also. So future of AI. Now, you see, earlier we had read that AI is writing papers, all fake papers. AI has written that. Fake references, fake results, everything. But read up, in 2024 and then 2025, there is this AI Scientist version 2, where AI is actually doing science. It is generating a hypothesis, doing experiments to either prove or disprove that hypothesis, taking results, writing a paper nicely, and then knowingly it has been submitted to an A-star conference, ICLR 2025. And there the organizers knew that this paper is a science done by AI. And it went into blind review and was accepted. So AI is now doing science. It is not just writing papers, fake papers. It is actually doing science and coming up with real papers, real research papers. Now the move is towards an Hassabis. He was a child prodigy. This Demis Hassabis, the Nobel Prize winner of 2024, who is the CEO of DeepMind. He is now working more towards artificial general intelligence because it will be more human-like than what currently AI is. Problems, of course, many. AI models hallucinate, meaning they give the wrong answer with a high degree of confidence. Okay? And then there's biasness, ethical concerns, a lot of it. I will not delve much into it, but one interesting, this actually gives an interesting, this is not the language model that we, they're not ChatGPT. It is something else, like it's called convolutional neural networks. Okay? And that network is able to detect that this image is an image of a pig. Now you add 0.005 into this noise, into this image, that is the noisy image, and you can see by human eye, it still looks very like a pig, right? But when you give it to the system, it will say now with 99% confidence that this is an AI language. So it is, it is very easy to attack these models. So adversarial attack, and many such attacks are actually taking place now in hospitals. The hospitals are held at ransom. That its system has been hacked, it has been attacked. Now, entire hospital goes down because everything is based on all this digitalization and all these systems. So unless you pay a certain amount of money, the hacker will not let you operate. So this is a very difficult situation. And of course there are other issues and the caveats. So I'll sort of conclude with many caveats are there, but I'll just say the rise of artificial general intelligence, and there is a BBC 2023 statement. Make no mistake, we are on a speeding train right now, and the concern is that one day it will start building its own tracks. So once that happens, that's a major concern. And you can see in future, we are looking at something like this. The human and the AI. Robotics will come in a very big way. So we will have to work together. We have to. Okay? Agriculture and healthcare, these are the two pictures that I've put here. But what you see here is just a single doctor. Earlier, operation theater would have a number of people. So people have gone there, right? And that's a reality. So what is to happen? New jobs will emerge. Something different will come, hopefully. Why are people so worried now? Because earlier, whatever steam engine was invented, and many other disruptions happened, but that was only to ease out humans' work. Now, what AI is doing is taking away that intellectual work that the human had used to do, that was entirely in the domain of the human, that AI is now doing. That is the worry. Okay? So it is best to prepare for the disruption which will come. There is no way of escaping that disruption. Prepare for lifelong learning, and we have to train ourselves to be innovative. Only then, in the future, we will align with the developments which are bound to be there. With that, I close. Thank you very much for your time. If you have a little time, some 5 minutes of any question if the students want to ask, please feel free. Anything, it can be related to this talk, it can be something very different from this talk. Anything.
Hello, I'm Shubhajit Nandi, representing St. Paul's Catholic College, Kolkata. You mentioned in your slides that now Government of India is using AI to make policies. So
I will not say to that extent that it is using, but that is a great possibility. It is using, but at a very low level, low scale as of now.
Ma'am, my concern is if the AI model that the government is using or will be using is biased, how can we are not concerned that it will make biased decisions towards.
Correct. So that is where the human also always has to be in the loop. You cannot let only the computer decide everything. Why I said let policy, for example, when we had this COVID, okay, a lot of AI related work went on into deciding when to close down everything, when to reopen, etc. So a lot of actually all these statistical modeling, machine learning based modeling, it went into those decisions. That is what I meant as of now, at the policy level, AI is being used. But you're right, I mean, if you just let the machine take over entirely, then all these problems, biases, fairness, and also, these attacks, these you have to, so that is why humans cannot be left out of that loop. Humans will always have to be there in the loop. The human's role will now become more as a judge. It will judge, it will take strategic decisions, it will say which is important, which is not important, and humans, wherever interpersonal relations are important, that is what matters. There, humans will, those are the places where humans will actually operate. But you cannot just, believe entirely on the AI system. Yeah, so we have to stop.
You told that AI and humans should coexist, but the rate at which the human brain is evolving, that rate is much lesser than the rate of evolution of AI. So how can humans coexist? And you told about prepare for lifelong learning. So the way humans learn, that is not equivalent to AI. So there is no place for humans actually.
No, you're right. That is a real concern. It's not something a wild thing that you're saying. That is a real concern. And if you look at what Geoffrey Hinton, for example, who got the Nobel Prize, he announced his resignation from Google, and he actually regrets some of his work. So these questions are all very valid, and that is where humans have to, evolve. Like humans have to evolve at a higher level of thought process, at a higher level of innovativeness to remain relevant. But indeed, a lot of work will actually shrink, but we are hoping that, like any other disruption, new things will emerge. New things.
How can we use AI just for assistance, not for the critical thinking?
It is not about, we can talk about it a little later. You cannot stop it from doing that. Research in that level will continue. So I think we have to stop because there is one question, and then we will close with that.
Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us with such a great lecture. So my question was that often it is seen that while feeding up my AI with certain new informations, the old informations have been erased out. So how can we solve this catastrophic forgetting without resorting to expensive computational methods?
No, nowadays if you see, it doesn't erase out the old memory, old training. For example, if you take a large language model, and so it is trained, let's say a standard ChatGPT like model, it is actually trained on whatever there is on the internet. Whatever there is on the internet, it is this model has been our models have been trained on that. Now, suppose you want to fine tune it for your own domain. Let's say the domain of education. You want to fine tune it. All data related to education, maybe to your school or your college. You want to now feed it into that AI and train it. But that is, it will not forget what it has. It will build on top of that. So fine tuning, nowadays most of us are doing fine tuning because we don't have the resources to train from scratch. So it is fine tuning that we are doing. But fine tuning essentially what happens, all these 400 billion parameters, most of them are frozen, they are not changed. Only a subset, a very small subset are changed using the new data that you are giving. Small data set that you are giving. That is what fine tuning is. And but it doesn't forget. I mean, you have to use the basic model and then fine tune. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you. Yes, I'll take this one question because it's from a girl. Yeah.
I'm Nishani Secretary from Scottish College, Kolkata. My question is, ma'am, you mentioned in the lecture that in hospital infrastructures and in various infrastructures, mainly AI is the major platform now used. So when it is attacked or when it is hacked, there is a huge loss of huge loss in financial. So, ma'am, how it is recovered in developing countries such as in India? How is it recovered? So maybe its cost is extremely high. So various places cannot afford it. So is it running to a loss or it is actually a profit for those sources?
See, the adoption is yet very limited, and that is why we have not yet faced the huge trouble in India. Adoption is still limited, but if you read up the papers, for example, a French hospital was held at ransom and they couldn't do anything for a significant amount of time, and it's not just loss of money. It's also loss of lives, loss of well-being of the patients, etc. So that is where cybersecurity and other security, privacy, all these aspects in the future will become. So that's where the new jobs will come.
Even over here, the data losses can also take place. Means the data of each and every individuals who have registered in a particular place.
Yeah, can be leaked out. So a lot of privacy. So there are, for example, federated machine learning, where data is kept local, only the models are exchanged, you don't let your data out. So those things are happening. So that is where the security and privacy aspects, they are already very important and will become more and more important in the years to come. So, I mean, very valid questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. That's a wonderful talk. I'm sure we have a lot of questions, but we'll have this after the session concludes. Now I'd like to call upon E.P. Ghosh to felicitate Professor Bankar.
look at the future of AI. Thank you, Professor Bandhu, for this precious lecture. Our next speaker is an eminent leader in the field of inorganic chemistry and a proud faculty member of our very own IACS Kolkata. Professor Pradyut Ghosh is widely recognized for his pioneering research on chemical sensing, self-assembly, and interlock molecules. His outstanding contributions to the chemical sciences have earned him the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize and the Swarnamanti Fellowship. We welcome Professor Ghosh to speak on synthetic small molecules as machines.
So, thank you, Neha, for your introduction, and still good morning, everybody. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizing committee of National Science Day, Professor Owen Datto, Professor Taman Pine, and Professor Joyram Green, and other members, Swastik, and others, for inviting us, or giving me this opportunity to speak about our science or something about it. So, today, what I'll tell something about the story. Before that, I would like to know how many of you are from chemistry background. Yeah. Oh, very nice. Yeah. That's good. So, because there will be some structures and all, so otherwise I have to just change my approach and all. It's good. So, synthetic small molecules are missing. These two things you can see, that one is molecule as missing. So that means we are going to talk about molecular missing. And that in general, so what we understand about machines. Machines generally motors or that whatever electrical machines we talk about. Generally motors and generators and all kinds of things. And in case of motor, it does like a electrical energy to mechanical energy. And you see that it's like that you get some kind of magnetic field, it rotates something. So it is a kind of rotation. So can we bring this rotation within the molecule and which we can use like a molecular machine, something like that. So these are the physical picture of any electric motors. And there you can see something like two terms, rotor and stator. So these are the things, the component of any electrical motors. Now, this is about this. What about biological machines? So these are the biological machines. So you can see that like a cilia are hair-like organelles on the surface of many animals or plants. Continuously they are moving and they are generating some kind of mechanical energy for some purpose. And this is another is ribosome. So you can see the ribosome is composed of your RNA and your other proteins and things, and there are active sites inside. So they are continuously working, and you get that serves as the site for biological protein synthesis. So two things we have here. One is electrical motors or machines, and another is biological machines. Now, this is, of course, you should know that the Nobel Prize in 2009 was given to Venki Ramakrishnan, he is from India, and then Thomas Pitt and Yara for studies of the structure and function of the ribosome. So biological machines and these biological machines, other things you can see, like a kinase then working on the microtubules for ATP synthesis and all. And there is actin and myosin. This is also all examples of biological motors or machines. Now, if you see these modern day electric motors, what are those? Like turbines, washing machine, fan, food processor, and it is like say we were everywhere using it. But research started in 1830, long back, 200 years back. So that time, it was, these motors were looking like this. So this is this is Hungarian physicist in 1827 first showed that electromagnetic self-rotor. This historic motor still works perfectly today, and this is in Budapest Museum. This is the thing, and which is giving big turbines today, fans, and all kinds of food processors and all kinds of things. And this is another motor presented to Kelvin by James Joule in 1842. This is also in Glasgow Museum. So from this kind of situation, after 200 years, we are enjoying all kinds of these electric motors, facilities, and all this. Now, as I have already classified two things, one is that electric motors and biological motors. Feynman started believing that can we get the molecular machines? There is plenty of room at the bottom. I think this term most of you know. And that he told in a classic talk given at the meeting of the American Society of Physics in 1959, the future of design and engineering at the molecular level. In 1959. So here you should mark. So you will see the development of molecular machines. How this comes. So 1959 physicists told that can we get this kind of nanotechnology things started appearing in 1959 from physics point of view. So what was the thing? The possibility of building small machines from atoms. That is, machines small enough to manufacture objects of atomic precision. So whatever machines activity we see, if we get from an atom, it will be very precise. And of course, it will be very small. Now, after 25 years, so 1959 and then 1984, he gave a very visionary lecture, Feynman again, that is tiny machines. And question was how small you can make machines. How small? So that was the question. So machine with dimension of a nanometer scale. All these are like a philosophical. So no existence of nano machines are there. But this was something like a Wednesday evening talk. If you go and see that talk, you will see that Feynman is giving lecture with shorts and pizza. And this is very interesting. It's a very classic talk on this. And this actually gave the example that I already showed, that in biology, this kind of corkscrew-shaped macromolecules or bacterial flagella, they are nanometer scale. So that is already there. And based on that, future vision he gave, the molecular machine will exist within 25 to 30 years. So 1959, 1984, in 1984, without any experimental result, he predicted that after 25 to 30 years there will be molecular machine. So that is the philosophical thinking, like scientists who had. So what was the aim of that lecture in tiny machines? That to inspire the researchers in the audience, to get them to test the limits of what they believe possible. But this is from physics background I told. Neither Feynman nor researchers in the audience knew at that time that the first step towards molecular machinery had already been taken, but in rather different way to that predicted by Feynman. So what Feynman suggested in 1959 then 84, but some people somewhere thought, because there was not much communication in that time, so people did not know, maybe from other disciplines people are working. What is that? What is that? So that is interlocked molecular systems. So interlocked molecular systems, people started working, and what was the idea? To get the mechanical bond in molecule. So what we do, all the chemistry we do chemical bonding. carbon-carbon bond formation, carbon nitrogen, all kinds of things. But can we get mechanical property? So it will be interlocked like chains. So two cycle their lock and link like it can make a chain kind of molecule. But if you get this kind of molecule, it can move one place. Or this is like you can see this is axle and this is wheel and both sides stopper. It can move back and forth. So, but they are not chemically bonded. But this is a single molecule overall. So this is the thing they thought. So to create mechanical bonds, when molecules are interlocked without the atoms interacting directly with each other, and that was seen in 1953. So from the chemistry point of view, they started like this. And in 1950s and 60s, basically many groups that time they thought they have got this kind of chain type of molecules, but characterization procedures were very weak. So not sophisticated instruments were there, but this conformal they could not tell that we have got interlocked molecular systems, and yields were extremely low. Synthesis of this kind of interlocking molecule is difficult, and yield was low. So that's why they were of limited use, and that's what progress was regarded more curiosity than a functionality chemistry. No functionality was achieved in the 1950s. So for chemistry students, so this is a typical chemistry lab equipment. So you do synthesis like a 3-net flask, reflux condenser, your heating plate, and this is all kind of your inert atmosphere creating, and these rotary evaporator, and these are the techniques you like analysis of like characterization of the technique. Now, if you see evolution of covalent synthesis, how synthesis has come out. So first organic molecule, what is that? Urea. So urea was synthesized from inorganic compound, and that is the urea. And later on, you know that many things have been prepared: benzene, chlorine, aniline. Continuously it is going on, and you will see many complex molecules are coming, like naphthalene, these other things. This is termed as cyclic, and this peptide, the cyclodextrin, porphyrin, calixarin, and then this is a single molecule called dendrimer. So this is people are synthesized. This is one molecule. So starting from benzene, so people are here. So you can prepare yourself this molecule right now by covalent synthesis. So it is not a big deal right now. And if you see that overall covalent synthesis development is from urea 1828, and this is vitamin B12, which was completely synthesized in 1972. And so this is the timeline of organic synthesis, of covalent synthesis, and which basically this compound was synthesized by hundreds of collaborators, PhD postdoc students from 15 countries, and collaboration in Harvard University, this Woodward, and this is by ETH Zurich. So 150 students work to synthesize this molecule. What I mean to tell you that the synthesis, whatever complications are there, chemists have they have achieved. You can make it. It may take time and this kind of thing. But after that, this is coming that how to make these interlocked molecular systems for molecular machines and all these things. And this is the first report synthesized by Wasserman that you take a molecule like your cyclic compound and you take one linear molecule like a carbon 32 and this kind of thing, and you mix it, and you have two functionalities at the two ends, and you have long CH2 kind of thing, and so it is very big, but two ends you have two functional group, and if it fades, and then finally you just couple in sodium and xylene, then you will get the interlock kind of thing. So this threading and then closing the reaction, you will get this kind of gas. So they showed that 1% of yield only. Because this is only statistical theory. If you mix together and some of the molecule will thread and maximum will be outside, and this one cyclized outside, so more than 90% of this is just separate, and only 1% you get your interlock molecules. So this is the thing, and this is the first report ever, this is 1960 by Wasserman, by statistical theory. And since this is like your interlock molecule, so topology is very important. So many things is coming out. Topology, because this you can consider two separate macrocycles, or it can be not. So many things are there. So this is one classic paper on chemical topology, like a unknotted loop, knotted loop, interlock, non-interlock molecules kind of thing. So basically, the evaluation of this, how I will show you that why I am telling you. Then this from German Professor Gottfried Sill in 1964, he showed same catenary synthesis not through statistical trading, 22 steps. Directed synthesis, one after another, and he could prepare certain amount of interlock molecules. These are the first example I am telling in the art of this kind of molecule. So he prepared this. This is catenated structure called catenated structure, and this is Rotasden in 1967. So after that, during this time, this 1967 is a very important year that crown ether was discovered by Pedersen. And last lecture, Professor Sanghamitra he was telling that any age you can start. This Pedersen, he discovered this crown ether. At that time, his age was more than 60. So he started working at 60. He was in a company, DuPont company. Actually, independently, alone, he worked. And he synthesized a series of this kind of molecules, first of its kind in the art. Nobody knew how you can bind sodium, potassium, magnesium kind of thing, not tungsten metal ion. So that is a crown ether in 1967. Later on, this geometry lane, 15 molecules, and this is spearheaded by Donald Graham. They got Nobel Prize in 1987 for their structure-specific interaction with high selectivity. Means you have something, sodium and potassium ion, and particular molecule with selectivity pick up sodium, or particularly lithium with high selectivity. It's impossible to work. So they could show, and they got the Nobel Prize. So that area of supramolecular chemistry started in 67, and 67 that during that time people started preparing it. But synthesis of interlock molecular system was really poor, and it cannot proceed further. Now, in Nobel lecture, the geometry is told that this is the roadmap of supramolecular chemistry. So covalent synthesis and this host substrate receptor interaction, supermolecule. At the end, you see, he told 1987 molecular and supramolecular device will come. Feynman told in his lecture in 1989. 87 geometry in his Nobel lecture he told that molecular device will come. And that is the future prediction. Now, he is that how to thread a string through the eye of a molecular needle is the fundamental question to get the interlock molecular system. Statistical theory directed, but you know, this is a very small hole macrocycle, the nanometer scale, and you have thread has to also remember there is a thread. Then you put interlock. So that strategy was not known till 1970 or something, 80, even 80. Nobody knew. He's the person. So this is Jean-Pierre Sauvage. So he's from France. The major breakthrough came in 1983 using a copper ion. Copper 1, most of you know, it will form tetrahedral complex. And if you have something like this faint moiety, nitrogens are centered toward the cavity of the wheel, And if you take a linear molecule, that also, these nitrogens are in this side. If you make complex tetracoordination, it has to stay. Copper will go inside, it bind, and it has to bind. So it will not get tetracoordination if it remains outside. So automatically, this is thermodynamically stable thing. So this complex will form, and then once you get this OH, if you can close this thing, you will get your product. So first step was this, and this Subhash is a very important person. As a PhD student, he synthesized the first peptide which got Nobel Prize in 1987, and he is the first person who synthesized the high of cadmium as a medical. So, and this will give him later on Nobel Prize. That's why I am showing. As a PhD student, whatever he worked, that got Nobel Prize. And as a mentor, he gave this strategy how to interlock these things. So, what is the background of this discovery? So, they were actually, so that's what you should know, that when you are a researcher, how careful you should be. So, they are working on a photochemical cleavage of water using ruthenium bicradial complex. Then that time, this David McMillan, generally in research, people go for sabbatical leave for a year to study something. He came from Purdue University to Subhash lab, and actually he was working in copper chemistry. Then he told that why you are using expensive metal ion ruthenium, try this with copper ones. And while doing this thing, they observed that this is the thing is happening, and Subhash, you are looking for this kind of interlock system. 1983, he said, okay, if this work, then we can easily do this thing, and that's what he started this strategy. Is like a called your double cycle. So if you take this and copper one template, so two functional group will be outside, and both ways this you close it and take out the copper, you get the interlock molecule. And this is the real example, and he showed that okay, like after getting threading by copper template, and you this long chain diiodide that OH to H it will react, you cyclize it and then take out copper using potassium cyanide to get this kind of interlock molecule. So this is in 1983. So it took 30 years from 53 to 83 to understand this chemistry, that you can really thread easily using copper one as a template. So he is the first person he showed. And then other strategy showed that you can take macrocycles and directly you can thread, and then another one you can do it. So this is the way he started preparing number of interlock molecular systems, and this is actually he took over the area. So you can make n number of various kind of interlock molecular systems, like mostly catenated structure. Now, how complicated structure you can make it? So he took this kind of molecule. See, phenanthroid is here one copper one template, and this can be done. So if two copper fits here and two molecules, and then these two OH, this OH from one molecule and another OH from other molecule, if you connect, you get this kind of structure, and take out the copper, you get this like molecular knot. Topology, what I was telling. And now you can see, actually this is the molecular knot, and this is your, that similar, if you unfold it, you will get this 86 member macrocycle. And this molecule actually looks like this. So such a complicated knot-like structure can be prepared using this clever strategy of like using copper one template, and this is again similarity with DNA trefoil knot. So people started mimicking the different kinds of biological things using this. Otherwise it is not possible. So you can make molecular knot simply, and following that they prepare Borromean ring, Solomon's knot, very, very complicated topological structure using this interlock molecular systems. That is, 83 started, continued working. Next person came in the picture is Francis Stoddard. So he died last year. So he completely that one electron deficient macrocycle or electron rich macrocycle, if they if you use, if it is a red, as he used to call it a red box and blue box. So this is electron deficient, you can see class 1, and this is the electron rich oxygen or. So they will have interaction, charge transfer or kind of thing, and 70% yield. Started with 1%, the statistical study. Now you can make 70% yield of this kind of product if you this kind. That is in 90s. So, and later on, I am not going to show you all these things. Olympiad ring. So 5 ring together. So he named it like an Olympiad ring. So this is 19 and many development has taken place. Lately he made like a radical comparison and to make like 41% yield of this kind of result of conversion. So after this, what I mean to say that synthesis of internal molecular system is not a big deal. Now you can make it. Now functionality. So in 1990s, Stoddard co-authors thought the concept of meshing can be extended to the molecular level. In 90s only it came. So molecular level meshing can be defined as an assembly of distinct number of molecular components that are designed to perform machine-like movement as a result of appropriate external stimuli. So you put some kind of input, you will change machine-like input, like a pH change or heat or light, molecule will move. So that was the idea started thinking in 1990s. So he prepared this rotaxane molecule. Now you can see this is a diphenol. This benzene and this diphenol. Two diphenols are like a two stations. And you have one macrocycle. This is this paracoid, this cyclophane ring. These two stations are equivalent. In solution set, they will move between this and this. So continuously, through NMR study, they could show that 2000 times per second it is moving. 2000 times per second. So this is the first example of molecule moving different places. They demonstrated in 1991. Now he went to see this is improving like that. Like instead of two equivalent stations, you make two different stations. This is like a benzidine station, and this is your diphenol station. Now, if you protonate this one, NH2 plus, this positive charge cycle will move to this oxygen. And once you put base, it will be again to this benzidine station. So you can, by changing pH, you can change one station to another station. Again, you can bring it back. So that is the thing. Under pH control, he would show this is the thing. So many other things like a ammonium station and bipyridium station, by acid base control, you can move the wheel from one place to another place. Many complicated things he did. Now I am showing one extreme. He made one molecular elevator. So if you take this is a platform, and this is some 3 wheel, and again another molecule where we have this is 3 axial. So this is in this framework. Now if we just put these 3, so it will be like forming. So you get positive charge ammonium as I showed in the previous slide. This is one station and this is another station. So here to here you can move with this platform. So basically you can see this is the cartoon diagram of this. This represents this one and this represents this one. And sometimes in your pH, low pH, it will be here, and high pH in basic medium it will be there. So it is like a ground floor and it is going to first floor. You can see this is moving up and going down. It is like an elevator. So if you have any material here, molecular level material, you can go this floor and can go out and you come down, you can upload and go. So this is like acting like molecular machine, the molecular elevator can take the pupils Instead of people, you can take molecule from one place to another place. So that is the thing. He nicely showed the elevator can be in the molecular level. Other way, this kind of movement by Subha, he showed like a, if you carefully observe it, 3 nitrogen center and this is 2 nitrogen and another cycle has 2 nitrogen. So if it is a proper one, so it will be tetracoordinated. If you oxidize it, it will proper 2. It will prefer pentacoordinated. So this ring will move to this place. So this is one set. This is solid ball is a proper one, and this is proper 2. So that means ring you can move here to here, here, here. So this is like a by oxidation reduction, you can move the ring from one place to another place. This is from Subhash Bhat. And he later on, like if you take like a mutually entangled rotagram, means this is the red one in hollow, this is the wheel, and then is axle is going and this is stopper. And blue one, again this axle is entering here and this axle is entering to blue cycle. So now if it moves, like 2 types of situation you can get, like this extended and this contraction. So this is like a molecular muscle. So at the level of in chemistry, so you can make once this, if you stretch it like this, and when you just fold it, you get this kind of situation. So you can make like a muscle action in a molecule. So molecular muscles can be prepared, this kind of thing. These are the one movement, but if you need like a directional rotation, then this person, this is third person is your Ben Feringa. He first showed that you can molecule with directionality you can move. With other one, you can go this side, it's like a random. There was no directionality. But if you want to have real machine, you have to get the direction. I want that if you go right to left, it has to be like then only be. But if you come right, left, like Brownian motion, it has no meaning. So he is the first person. He brought the directionality in the movement, and he prepared this kind of molecule. And basically, chemistry is that there is a double bond, and if you put UV light, it will actually here. This is like this molecule is a rotor. This is stator, and this is axial, and it actually moves. So from stable form to unstable form, and then there will be carbon one bond will break, and the single bond rotation will take place, and you will get another from 180 degree rotation, and then again you will heat it. Then methyl they will just stop it, and after putting a 60 degree temperature, it will be again the original position. So you can continuously one direction. You can move. This is very famous molecule of molecular motion. In 1999, he published this work, and still lot of work is coming with this molecule. And this is the what I told. It is mentioned here. And now you can compare. I started with electric motor, and this was the nature's motor, this ribosome, and you have the molecular motor. Continuously, you can change this kind of thing. So molecular machine is there. So basically, here also you can see rotor, stator, and this molecule itself and nature modes also very. Okay. So this is after that this Feringa, you put that if you really want to get the machine, you have to put on the surface. So this kind of molecule you put in the gold particle, and you can see if this movement you want to follow, say suppose in a gold plate, and this hydrophilic water, if you put a drop, and by shining UV light, if it is molecule is moving, and molecule that you can see water is moving with the molecule. So you can show upward direction of water moving, not downhill, upward. That is also possible. They have demonstrated here, and like molecular cargo and all. and they are sold. And finally, they are shown this small glass cylinder on the LED panel. If you put, and this is molecular machine with the LED material, 1% molecular machine in the LED if you put, and if you put UV light, then motor will start working, and you see this is 10,000 times bigger long glass cylinder. If you put on the LED, it started rotating. So that means molecular motor is started working inside the LED material. So then he went from many things, even nano car. It is design. This is the nano car. Actually, you got this machine here. This is the old one. That's what I showed you. That it will work there like a continuous directional motion, 4 wheels, and this is a chassis. So you get molecular chassis and rotating molecular motors are here, and on the surface actually it moves. And they are told this kind of the molecule is falling onto the surface by shining the UV light. So that molecular machine is or molecular nano car is moving from one place to another. And they got Nobel Prize in 2016. This Subhash, Soda, and Karika. So exactly almost 30 years. So 89, he told that 30 years later it will be there. And geometry then also showed the roadmap that molecular device will be there. So within 30 years time, the molecular device got Nobel Prize. And latest, there are a lot of work is going on, like a sequence-specific peptide synthesis by artificial small molecule machines, molecular robot. So here, actually, this is the internal molecular system they have made very quickly. This is your wheel. It will go a stop here, one amino acid there that will react with this, and then this will click, and this wheel will move to this place. Another amino acid sequence, then next, and it will come out. So synthesis of peptides by molecular machine is now a reality, and actually you can see this is the thing. So assembly of this machining track. So this is wheel, and now you put one arm. Arm is coming, and actually it will come to this place. This stopper here. You will pick it up. Do reaction here. Then go to next one, suppose ATGC, if you have, it will put here. Then next one, pink one, it will pick, and it will go out, and you clip it, you get peptide synthesis, ADUC. So this is all about it. So conclusion, so 42 years after Feynman's visionary lecture, we can still only gaze at the training development ahead of us. However, we do have a definite answer to this initial question, how small can you make machinery? Feynman asked in 1984, at least 1,000 times thinner than a stand of a cat. So although the first application of molecular moves to the control of other functions has been realized, the whole field is still very much in its infancy, offers ample opportunity in designing mechanical devices. So a great opportunity ahead to succeed. So you are there. So it is up to you to take care. Thank you all. If you have any questions, you can ask. And if time doesn't permit, so maybe you can discuss other something. Any questions you can ask? Sure.
In case of Ferriga motor, you said that by presence of light, it can rotate in a particular direction. I understand that the double bond shifted to the single bond and can rotate, but how it is in a particular direction?
No, there are two methyl groups are there. So one turn will it will take one direction and means particular wavelength. Once you like there the isomer is in double bond is there. So C strands kind of thing. So it will move. Then it will touch there. Then at this point it is an unstable situation. So it will then double bond will break to single bond, then it will take right turn because methyl group is there and it will just you have stator and there is rotor and axis. So it will touch there and then it will again form double bond, automatically form double bond, and then after putting heat that methyl group will it stop there. And you can see that 20 degree first one and then it was giving 60 degree to overcome that and then to move another direction. So that is how it is moving. And this is continuous thing.
So another question is, can I use it in, as an experimental system as in our body to drug elevation in particular situation if there is any disease, then it will itself go there and recure the.
That is the future thing. So any molecular machines, that is the target. If you can get proper machine, again it has to be compatible, and that's what means if people are working so that you can use that molecular machine for surgery or whatever. So that is the future. And then, as I told you, these are the all proof of concept results you are seeing. So that coming to the reality will take time. As I showed you, like your that machine, that electric motor, 1827. So after 200 years now, we are thinking we start right.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you, sir, for this enlightening lecture. My name is Preetham Devman, and I am from St. Xavier's College, Chemistry major. So my question was that while many molecular machines operate in organic solvents, what are the primary chemical variants need to be overcome to make this system operate effectively in biological fluids?
So actually, the machine, that, as I showed in lab, it has to be on the surface. That is the final thing. So that I showed you. So, but in biological system, if you want to, mostly all are definitely in organic solvent. So in biology, you have to attach some other group like carboxylic acid and all kinds of things so that it will be soluble in water or buffer solution to take care of it. That is also possible. So people have not tried because all are in experimental state. So that is possible. By changing the functionality or attachment unit, you can mix.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so anyway, if you have any questions, oh.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Sumit Shah from Basha Government College, Chemistry Honors. My question is to synthesize interlocking molecules. Is there any strain arises in the complicated structures? Are they thermodynamically stable?
Is there
any strain arises like internal strain, back strain? In complicated structure.
So main thing is that, as I said, there is a nanometer size hole and nanometer size molecule you have to take. Only that you have to put the size. No strain. It is a linear molecule if you can put. So strain is not the problem. So you can increase the molecular your wheel size. That is not the problem. Strain is not the any problem. Loudly you can hear.
Sir, why copper ions were only chosen? Copper one. Given other ions be chosen?
Sure, of course.
What was the reason for only copper ions?
As I told you, the tetracoordination, copper one, the tetracoordinated structure. Now, if you have macrocycle with 3 coordinates inside and axial with 2 coordinates inside, nickel or iron or copper 2 itself even pentacoordination. So you have to think the chemistry and you have to design accordingly what type of wheel and axial functionality you take. Pentacoordination you need copper 2, nickel 2, or if you have tetracoordination you have to take copper 1. It's clear? Okay, I think we have to stop right now. Maybe later on we can meet after during lunch time. We can discuss.
On the stage to felicitate Professor Ghosh.
Thank you, Professor Ghosh, for such an insightful session. For our final science lecture of the day, we are delighted to hear from one of our own senior faculty members here at IACS. Professor Durga Gosha is a senior professor in the School of Physical Sciences at our institute. She is a renowned expert in semiconductor nanostructures and optoelectronic properties. Her distinguished career has been recognized with the MRSR medal from the Materials Research Society of India. Please join me in welcoming Professor Gosha to the stage as she presents a tale of two diodes, energy efficient lighting and photo detection.
Thank you, Neha. Sorry, thank you, Shirley.
Very good day to all of you. I would like to thank first the organizers for giving me this opportunity, and also I would like to thank our director, Dr. Parvati, for suggesting my name for this occasion. So, as you have understood, or as you know, that today's National Science Day theme is Women in Science. So I'm very happy to see many girl students in the audience. So I'm really, I would like to encourage them to pursue science studies. So today's topic is a tale of two diodes, energy efficient lighting and photo detection. I think all of you know what is diode. You have read in your class 11 or 12 level. But still, I would like to repeat that a diode is a two-terminal device made up of semiconductor that works like a valve for carrying electricity. That means it allows to flow current in one direction while in the other direction there is no current. So, though you understand that I'm going to talk about two diodes. But let us come to the modern technology, which is fundamentally built upon electronics. And you have probably noticed that in the past 2 decades, there is enormous revolutionary change in the electronics, especially in optoelectronics. And semiconductor diodes are the essential parts of electronics, especially optoelectronics. So that is why I have chosen this light emitting diodes and photo detection. So as we move on, let me tell you the topics. It's the first I'm going to discuss on light emitting diodes, like LEDs and LEDs. You know what is, this is LED is light emitting diode, and what is LED is laser diode. I'm sure you know the difference between light LED and laser diode. Anybody from audience? Can you tell the difference between light emitting diode and laser diode? What is this? What is this? The red color?
Laser.
Laser. So here I use the laser pointer. From a far apart, I can just point out something. It is strong light. And LED, what you see in your in the hall, in the ceiling, lighting. So this laser is the full form of what? What is the full form of laser? That is also you have read in your class 12 level, right? light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation, right? Laser. So there is a difference between LED and LED, but basically the manufacturing of LED and LEDs are similar to some extent, right? So I'm going to discuss about LEDs and LEDs, and also then the main focus will be on the first part, and then in short I will discuss about photodetectors and transparent conducting electrodes. Why this particular topic? Because these transparent conducting electrodes are essential component for these two devices in modern day technology. I'll tell you about that. So let me tell you this LED or LED, they are called solid state lighting, right? Solid state lighting, because we use solid material to manufacture these LEDs and LEDs. So if you look at the evolution of lighting technology, if you look back, I mean, your ancestors probably used this kind of oil that American, right? So it's a natural fire. And then we used to use incandescent bulb, this bulb. Have you used? Yeah, this is based on tungsten filament, right? When the filament is very hot, it glows. So, and then came fluorescence, CFL, compact fluorescent light. So either in the form of tube light or in the form of spiral things, probably you have used. And then compared to tube light, the CFLs, the cost of CFL were very high, very high. And then the fourth lighting technology, what we have now, is the LED lighting technology, right? So if you look at this particular graph, you can see in terms of luminous efficiency with year. You see, initially we have incandescent bulb, fluorescent, discharge tube, etc. And from 1990 onwards, we had LEDs in the market. But those LEDs were not that much efficient. But from 2000, we started to have very efficient LEDs in the market. So, and if you compare why LEDs, we are crazy about LEDs, because in the LEDs we get more intensity at lower power. Here I have given some data. You see, 1 watt LED emits 35 lumens. You know this unit of, what is this? Lumen is the unit of luminous thing, right? You all have read this, surely. And 7 watt LED, it has more or less 200 lumens. So although it is an older data, probably now it is much more than that. So we get 28 lumen per watt in case of LED. But you see, if you have a 60 watt bulb, what I used to, when I was a student, I used to buy 60 watt bulb. What we used to get, the lumen only 14, okay, 14 lumen per watt. So 7 watt LED gives you 28, but whereas 60 watt gives you 14 lumen, right? And if you go to CFL, it gives you 26 watt CFL light, 31 lumen per watt. So definitely, if you compare the data, so LED is much superior than this the previously used conventional lighting technology. And the more interesting thing is LED lifetime is much higher. Here, this is wrong. This is 100,000 hours. If you use one LED in your room, it will last forever. I think not ever, at least 10-15 years. But the halogen bulb only 3,500 hours, or CFL something like 10,000 hours. So in terms of lifespan also, LEDs are much more economic and convenient. Now let me show you wavelength-wise applications of LED. So you can just read out, if you have violet LED, it is used for skin therapy. If you have blue LED, you can use it for dental curing and so on. And I think this one you know very well, right? Oximetry. During COVID time, you must have bought this oximetry and you keep it at home to check your oxygen level in the blood. So that is also works in this principle. There is some LED and that red light used to measure the oxygen content of your blood, right? So let me go forward. And what are the applications of laser? You find applications of laser in all spheres of life. For example, in medicine or medical area, lasers in communication, lasers in industries, lasers in science and technology, lasers in medical. You can see the elaborate applications of lasers. You know, laser surgery is very important now. Yeah? So, bloodless surgery, that is done by lasers. So, enormous applications we now find out of LEDs or laser diodes. So, there is no doubt that we needed this, we need this, and we need this. So, what is the global scenario of light pollution? So, light pollution, what is light pollution, noise pollution, dust pollution? Or you must have heard about or you must have experienced all these pollutions. What is light pollution? This particular picture is taken from NASA in the night time. Light pollution is the contrast between the light and the natural light. The light you use and the natural light. And the contrast is very good in the night time. So the picture was taken in the night time from the NASA. And you see, these are the lighted areas. And this pollution and this light pollution is because of you use excessive light, inefficient light. Excessive urbanization happened. So you have to use lots of lights. So this light pollution is there, and basically what happens because of this light pollution, you use more electricity, right? More emission of current because so far you use your conventional energy, that is burning the coal. So the carbon dioxide emission is there. So because of use of this so much lighting things that consumes almost 90-20% of energy that we can have, and it will produce huge carbon dioxide emissions. So we want to avoid it. So what are the advantages of this solid state lighting? This good efficiency and durability. I already have talked about this, right? 1 3-watt LED is sufficient for your work, and lifetime. This is much more than the other conventional lights. Reduction of energy consumption, that also I have explained. Obviously, if you use a higher wattage light, it will consume more current and it will produce heat. So global warming will be there. So if you use LED, it will reduce the heat emission. Wide variety of lighting you can use. If you use tungsten bulb, you can get only yellow light, right? But using LED, you can have wide variety of lighting. So our environment is doubly benefited if you use this solid state lighting. One is you are reducing the energy consumption, and the other way you are reducing the global warming. So now let me tell you a little bit of physics behind this LEDs and LEDs. You know the difference between metal, semiconductor and insulator, where you don't have any band gap. The valence band and the conduction band overlap, so you have the permeable over here. But in case of semiconductor, you have a definite band gap. But your conventional definition of semiconductor is a band gap around 1 electron volt. You have learned probably that if the band gap is more than 1 electron volt, it is called insulator. But this is no longer valid. But we can have a wide band gap also, much larger band gap also. And the insulator where the band gap is sufficiently large. But obviously, I have already said that the semiconductors are used in LEDs and LEDs, right? But can you use all semiconductors? So answer is here. You can use only direct bandgap semiconductors. What are direct bandgap semiconductors? Where the delta K is 0. Have you read about this lattice momentum? I think not yet. So let's see, this is a parameter, lattice momentum delta K, and where the delta K is 0. What does it mean? Because this means that the maxima of the valence band and minima of the conduction band are having the same K value. That means it is easier to have a communication between the two states, valence band and the conduction band. I will explain you later why I am worried about particular position of these bands. So this is called direct bandgap semiconductor. So you can use only direct bandgap semiconductors if you want to build up a LED or laser diode. And for indirect semiconductor, there the delta K is not equal to 0. It will be not equal to 0. That means the maxima and the minima of the conduction band are not falling in the same momentum value. So what will happen in this case? If some electron is there, they will not directly come over here. They will interact with the phonon and then come back. And the phonon is lattice vibration. Another story. So I'm not going to dig into that details. So tell me one indirect bandgap semiconductor. I have written already actually. The silicon is an indirect bandgap semiconductor. So silicon is not suitable for this light emitting times. So we have to explore other materials. So I have said already that the direct bandgap semiconductors only can give you light. How the light is formed? Light is formed when you excite one electron in the conduction band. When it comes back and combined with the hole, one photon is emitted. Right? Because there is an energy gap equal to h nu. So h nu means C by lambda. So you will get some lambda which corresponds to this bandgap only. Okay. So that is why I am showing this one, that when the electron comes back here, it can combine with the hole efficiently. But in this case, electron cannot combine directly to this valence band, rather it will interact with the phonon and some energy will be lost. Because this energy is very important, what lambda you want. So this, out of this you won't get inefficient LED, right? Some energy will be lost in the form of heat or something like that. Okay, so that is the story. So all direct bandgap cannot be used for light emitting diodes because there are two types of recombinations. One is called radiative recombination. As I said, in case of radiative recombination, one photon will be released efficiently, exactly corresponding to lambda, which corresponds to this gap. And in this case, it is a non-radiative recombination. So some sort of trap will be there, some sort of defect, say, will be there within the bandgap, and this electron will be trapped over here and then come back, and then some energy will be lost in the form of phonons. So this is called non-radiative recombination. So in case of non-radiative recombination, there are some variations. Shockwave Reynolds recombination, Auger recombination, surface recombination. This is to trap, this is to another electron, and this is to surface recombination. Okay, these are details, but I'm not going through that details. So, whenever you are considering any material for your device fabrication, the material is not perfectly pure, ideal, right? No material is pure. Some defects will be there. So some non-radiative recombination will be there. So when you calculate the probability of your recombination, you have to consider the radiative recombination as well as the non-radiative recombination. The more efficiently you get the recombination, more powerful is your LED. So you have to, the total probability is the combination of So the internal efficiency of a LED depends on the radiative recombination divided by the radiative transformation. This is a very simple equation, right? Okay, because we are interested only for radiative recombination and then efficiency. And the external efficiency of LED, this is internal efficiency, into the extraction efficiency. Whatever electrons, the number of electrons are recombined with the holes, whatever light is generated with the material, we need to extract all the lights from the material. What is happening within the material you can't see. What is coming out from the material you will be able to know only when you see the light out of it, right? So, we are interested in the external efficiency. And as I said, that the defects are very important and no material is ideal, there will be defects. So, material quality is very important. There comes the investigation about the material. So here I have shown some materials which are used generally for infrared, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, purple, ultraviolet LEDs. Those are in the market already. Okay, so these are the material: gallium arsenide, aluminium gallium arsenide, aluminium gallium arsenide. You know, these some are binary, some are ternary. So they are falling in this part of the periodic table. Why? Because these are very much stable, efficient, and their material electronic properties are very good. So these materials are mainly chosen to form this kind of LEDs. So if you have gallium arsenide and aluminium arsenide, if you alloy, you get Al gas, aluminium gallium arsenide. It's a ternary compound. So if you mix A with B, you get a different compound C. So you can tune your band gap. The band gap I'm talking about, that if you have a material A with a certain band gap, if you have a material B with a certain band gap, if you mix both A and B, you end up with another material which is having a band gap in between A and B. So if you choose your elements from this particular colors, you can tune the band gap, and accordingly you can get different colors. Okay, so it's the band gap which is determining what color you are going to get out of your LED or LEDs. So, as I said in the beginning, that it is diode, very important, and this is the essential part of optoelectronics. So diode means, what is diode? Pre-junction diode. You combine with N-type material with a P-type material. What is N-type material? You dope a material with excess of electrons, and you have one material where you dope it. You can generate excess hole. And if you combine both the materials together, what happens? As soon as you combine, electron hole starts to flow in the opposite direction. Okay, and there forms a depletion region. And there is a built-up potential. And because of this built-up potential, no more electron and hole flows from both the sides. The flow continues only when you put some voltage, right? You have to attract the electron hole from the both sides. So diode is an essential part of a LED. So you have a P-type material, and here you have an N-type material. You make a junction, and when you bias it, you have to bias positive bias. Means your P-type will be positively biased, N-type will be negatively biased, and you force the electron to flow towards upward, and when one electron meets one hole, it will recombine and you get light. Right? So generally the P-type layer remains on the top, so that you can get light from the top. Okay. So this is in this diagram I have shown how this the flow is happening. So when you bias it with the positive voltage in the P type and negative voltage here, you just decrease the diffusion layer and the carrier starts to flow and you get you get the recombination and you get light out of it. But here is another structure. It is not just a PN junction. You put another layer in between. Why? This further modification was done. Why? Because it depends on the diffusion length of the carrier. If the carrier diffuses far away without recombining, then you don't get any light. So you restrict the carriers in an active layer in between. See how the design is evolved. Okay, you modifying the design. So it is not only a NP type, this is a PIN type of junction, where the active layer is buried in between P type and N type, where the electron and holes recombine and you get light out of it. Okay, from the active layer. So you choose your active layer depending on what light you want. If you want blue light, you choose indium gallium nitride. So this is a final structure of a simple LED, and you put metal contact, because how you bias, you have to do some metallization on top and bottom, right? And then you get current flowing through the circuit and you get light from the active layer. Okay. So further modification is done when the quantum concept is there. So quantum confinement was used in forming bright LEDs. When the quantum wells were formed, electrons are confined forcefully within a thin layer so that it efficiently combined with the hole. Okay, so you know particle in a box like that. You confine electrons in a thin layer so that there is no way to escape from that layer, from that box. So it forcefully combines with the holes. So this is the quantum. Okay, this is a LED structure actually. This is a laser type structure. Anyway, both are same. So, as you see that I am showing this way the layers, P type and N type, some layers. So, how do you get these layers? Okay, there comes the concept of thin film. Okay, so you have to deposit thin films. Thin means in the order of nanometer on a particular substrate. Okay, first you form the N layer, N type layer, and then you form the active layer, then you form the P type layer. How do you do? There are lots of techniques for forming the thin layers, but generally what is used in case of forming LEDs is the MOCVD, metallo-organic chemical vapor deposition, where precursors of metal-organic precursors are used to form the thin layers of N type, P type, whatever you are using. And those are formed on the substrate. These are the several steps of forming layers. Transport from the vapor, the ions are transported, and then chemical reaction, then absorbed on the wafer, and the surface kinetics and the growth of thin film happen. And these are the pictures of the wafers. Wafer means the substrate. You need something on which you will grow. A nanometer film cannot grow just like that, right? So you need a hard substrate first, and on top of something, top of this wafer or substrate, you grow the films. And once you complete the P and N layer growth, you see the N layer and the P layer. But how do you take contact from the N layer? Because you have covered the N layer with the P layer, right? So you need to dig it out. Dig out the P layer and expose the N layer. And then you put the electrodes, one on the P side and one on the N side. It will look like this. Is it clear? So, in order to bias it, you need two electrodes on top of N type and P type. So, this step is called etching. You can do it by dry etching, you can do it by wet etching, and you have the structure like this. This is the metallization. Metals, which are used as electrodes. Now, when wafer, after forming the LEDs, it looks like this. Okay, so one wafer with of size 6-inch diameter size, you have 7,500 LED devices. One 6-inch wafer, you have 7,500 LED devices. So one LED device, approximately of the size, the size is much reduced now. Say it is 50 micron by 50 micron or 100 micron by 100 micron. So all the manufacturing processing will be done under microscope, optical microscope. Okay. And this is just 1 centimeter of a broken wafer where you see the LED devices. Can you see? For each device you see two contacts, one on A, one on P. Can you see? It is very clear, right? And this is a broken wafer where you can see so many LED devices. And this wafer was under testing. You see the light. And this is the IV curve. It is a diode, so after a certain tunnel voltage, the current will shoot up where you get the light. So this is the third process. This is the full LED you are getting after your third step. What is the fourth step? Now you have to cut the LEDs. You have to separate each individual LED from the wafer, right? You have to cut it, dice it. Fifth step is mounting. Have you seen this LED with magnifying glass? You see some small chip sitting on a cup type of thing. So this is called mounting. And the sixth step is packaging. So again, little bit of physics is there. So one, Snell's law, if the incident angle of a light ray is more than a certain angle, it will undergo total internal reflection, right? It will not be reflected out. So the light will go this way. So you have to consider this point also while you design your LED. So you have to cut the wafers like this so that the total internal reflection doesn't occur. You get all the lights out of it. Okay. So there are very tricky steps, and all steps have to be done very perfectly. Otherwise, efficiency will go down. And it looks like this. You have probably seen this type of structure, LEDs, right? So far I have said that you are getting red LED, orange LED, yellow LED, green LED, but the blue LED was not there in the market for a long time. Why? In order to get a blue light, say 400 nanometer or 450 nanometer, the band gap of the semiconductor has to be very large, around 3 electron volt. So, semiconductor with 3 electron volt band gap, it is very difficult to dope it with N type or P type, right? That is why they behave like insulating when they are not doped. Okay, so we didn't have blue LED for a long time. So we did not have this white light also. Because if you mix the 3 primary colors, blue, orange, green, you get white, right? So the white light was not there till 2000. Because we did not have blue LED. You have to mix 3 colors uniformly so that you get white. This is warm white, of course, but in case of white LED, you you needed 3 colors, right? You on the chip you mount 3 colors LED together and you get the white LED. So white LED was not there. So what did then the around 2000 something like 1998 the blue LED was invented. That was made out of gallium nitride, and then we could efficiently generate white light. Another way of generating white light is that you mount one blue LED and cover it with a phosphor. So blue LED excite the phosphor and you get white light out of phosphor. The electronic transition in the phosphor gives you the white light. Okay. So now once you have the blue LED, you can have say different white colors, pure white, warm white, cool white. So you can design your room or house whatever you want. Means in the almirah you can have different colors, on your desk you can have different colors. And it can be compared with the daylight. So not only inorganic materials, organic materials are also used for LEDs. So once the blue laser diode was invented, so we could have very high efficiently DVDs and CDs where large data can be stored, right? If the laser wavelength is small, you can read out more data, right? Once the blue LED was discovered, you could read at least up to 27 gigabytes in CD-ROM, right? So it was the wonder of blue LED. So what we did in our lab, I'll tell you in brief, that we used to synthesize nanostructures of zinc oxide, and we used to get some treatment. We used to do some treatment to get some lights out of it from the nanorods of zinc oxide. You see the color; it's almost green, but here it looks like blue. So we used to embed Z2 quantum dots in some matrix, and we used to get colors like this, red and white. And you see, I have written IACS using those powder, nanorod powders, and you can get efficient lighting from these powders, quantum dot powders. So nowadays, probably you know your this mobile phone, TV, everything. The display is very important. Resolution and all, right? How the resolution means number of pixels that matters. Resolution, and each pixel is one micro LED. Okay, when the device size reduces to micron order, so naturally you need to have quantum dots. So in micro LEDs, quantum dots are used, and you see Sony's selling 55-inch high performance LED screen, where the resolution is 3840 by 2160 pixels, and this was possible only because of your blue LED. The blue LED was used to excite the quantum dot light emitting layers, and you get several Q LEDs. This is called Q LEDs. Okay, size is in the order of quantum dots, and then only you can increase the resolution of your device, right? If you use small materials, you can use the. So this was these are the 3 persons who won Nobel Prize in 2014 for blue LED. Okay, so we should thank this Akashaki Amano and Nakamura for this modern technology. And I think this has the greatest impact in our daily life, this Nobel Prize in Physics in 2014. And I used to meet him when I was in Japan with this Nakamura, because he was in a city next to my city where I was working. And in 2016, I met him again in Singapore, where he came to give a lecture on blue LED. So recently, I don't know whether you read newspaper or not, in the 26th of February, the day before yesterday, the news came that this Kolkata is chosen as the semiconductor hub. And Global Foundries, one of the biggest semiconductor company, they have opened a center in Kolkata, and they are now putting stress on gallium nitride semiconductors, fab center, design, fabrication, testing, etc. So we are now moved and running after this technology. Let me finish, please. So now I'll tell you a little bit of photo detector. What is photo detector? I'll explain, but you see the applications of photo detector is enormous application in our daily life. In pollution detection, imaging, bioimaging, telecommunication, and so on. So you see with the help of photo detector, you can have a night image of things who are moving in a room in the night time. So it is done by the IR photo detector. So as I said, it is based on a principle which is just opposite to LED. LED emits light and photo detector, it detects light. Okay, so if light of certain wavelength falls on a semiconductor, we excite the electron to the conduction band, and if you bias it, the current will flow in the circuit and you get a signal. So the optical signal is converted into electrical signal. So there are different types of photo detectors. One is simple photoconductor. You connect semiconductor, you get current when you illuminate the surface, and you have a PN junction also, where this also works as photodiode, and you get current in the circuit and some sort of signal to generate. So about our work, we used to work on photo detector system. This nano rods of zinc oxide, they are highly photoconducting, means when UV light falls on them, the current level increases and you get a signal in the outer circuit. But somehow it is a basic material, the signal was not very strong and it was not stable. But for a photo detector, you need to have a stable. As long as you shine light, you should get a constant current in the circuit. In our case, the current falls with time. So we have designed several photo detectors using different materials, choosing two materials for a junction intelligently, and then you get a self-powered photo detector. That means you don't have to bias. As soon as you contact two materials, automatically once you shine light, you get current. No biasing is required. No power is required. So this is also very efficient. Because of the arrangement of the band structure, electron flows in one direction and so you get current. So this is called self-powered photo detector. You save the energy without using any current. So what is transparent conducting electrode? So far I have shown you that for electrode we use metals. But metals are opaque, right? If you have a metal sheet, you cannot see anything through the metal, right? But nowadays you have completely transparent TV, your laptop. How is it possible if you use metal electrodes? Will it be possible? No. So everything has to be transparent to the visible light, right? So one of our goals was to develop these transparent conducting films. There are transparent conducting films commercially available, but those are very costly. So what we used to do, we used to develop the transparent conducting films, and this is the explanation why the metals are opaque and shiny, while these transparent conducting films, they carry current and they are transparent in the visible wavelength. So these are the J-based TCE films those we develop, and you see the films are there. But you can see the write-up, IACS, NREL, Corning, this write-up to the glass substrate. We had a project with NREL USA on Corning glass. So under this project, we developed a TC, transparent conducting fields, where you can see through whatever on the other side of the film, right? And the conductivity is very high because when we connect with a multimeter, you see only 10 ohm resistance is shown. Okay, and it is transparent in the visible region. And this is a flexible PC. Today is the time for flexible devices that you hold, that you put in your clothes. So flexible devices. So everything has to be flexible. This was one of the examples of flexible transparent conducting electrodes. So in a simpler way, I show how this TC works. You see the metal film is there, and I have connected to LEDs, right? So LEDs are lit up when we connect it to a battery, because the current is flowing through this metal electrode. But this metal electrode is obstructing the image of butterfly, right? Some images behind the metal film you can see, but here I have a film, transparent conducting films, which is not obstructing any image. So these are the films that are being used in your transparent TV, transparent laptop. Okay, so this is very important. But you can ask me that if commercially available TC is there, why are we searching for this? Because commercially available PCs are indium tin oxide, something like that. But indium is very, very costly. In the recent year, indium cost is gone 4 times double up. Okay, so and because of this development, tremendous development in the transparent technology, transparent devices, the demand of ITO, FTO is very high. So we have to find out something which costs very less. So that's why people are searching for this alternative of this commercially available TCs. Okay, otherwise your TV, your transparent LEDs, transparent displays, transparent laptops, the cost will be gone up. So once we succeed in developing all transparent this thing at a lower cost, we can bring down the cost, right? So I should acknowledge my current institute, other funding agencies, my students who work on these projects. So thank you all. Thank you for your attention. I'm sorry I exceeded time, but anyway. Thank you, Professor, for your wonderful talk.
I would like to call upon Sapyendu to felicitate Professor Gaur. I'm sure all of us have really enjoyed all the insightful lectures we've heard today. So we would like to give a vote of thanks to Mr. Prabir Manna, Secretary of the IACS Outreach Committee. And we'd like to call upon Professor Roland also to felicitate Mr. Manna.
See, we are running little behind, and all you are waiting for the next session. Whenever the turn vote of thanks comes, we generally think that the program is about to conclude. But this is not like that. It's to conclude our first session. And vote of thanks is a very, very critical one for words cannot express what you really need to say. Still, we have to depend upon words, and for this, I need to say that respected directors, distinguished speakers, esteemed faculty members, dear students, and my colleagues, a very pleasant good afternoon to everyone. It's my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this wonderful occasion of National Science Day. Today's celebration has truly reflected the spirit of scientific inquiry, innovation, and curiosity that the day really demands. On behalf of the Management Committee of IACS and Organizing Committee of National Science Day, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to our eminent speakers whose insightful and inspiring lectures enriched our understanding of science and its impact on society. Your words have not only broadened our knowledge but also ignited curiosity and motivation among our college students to pursue research and innovation with passion. I sincerely thank our director, registrar, and administration for their constant encouragement and support in organizing this program. I especially need to mention, since our present director takes the chair, he always advises us to ensure that students receive opportunities beyond classroom to learn from the eminent speakers and experts in different fields. And for this reason, we have planned so many outreach programs in future. A special word of appreciation goes to the organizing committee, of which I am also a part, volunteers, technical team, whose tireless effort made today's event a success, I think. Finally, I thank all the students who actively participated and made this program lively with their enthusiasm and curiosity. With gratitude to everyone present here, I conclude my vote of thanks. Thank you all once more. Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes our session of lectures. We will now break for lunch. The venue for our lunch is at Tea Court, which is just towards the left of the MLS hall exit. Oh yes, we will have a group photo outside the MLS hall. Okay, so please be gathered there after the session completes. We reassemble at the Tea Court at 2:15 p.m. and we invite all the attendees to participate in the research facility and lab visits. This is a unique opportunity to see the cutting edge work happening right here at IACS.
Thank you all for your presence this morning and please enjoy the visit.
Please be gathered at the outside of the MLS hall.